Hello, Scarlett, and welcome from Nashville.
Hi, how
Woo!
are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to have you here on our What is Meant to Be Day, the future, because we're going to be sharing some incredible information about how maybe using tarot cards might be something people might be interested as they move forward. Um, I'm going to start just by giving people a little bit of background on you, and then also what we're going to talk about. So, you are a certified tarot reader, which is really interesting. Um, which obviously means there's courses out there that people could take if they wanted to.
Yes, and apparently people can get degrees in it. Who knew?
Is
But
that right?
yeah, I think I've seen those courses. Certification you're going to see for people like me or other people who want to add some legitimacy to this business.
100% understood. So, a certified tarot reader who's been studying mysticism since the year 2000. You're an alternative therapist who also helps people understand themselves and their challenges better. You are also the headmistress of the new Scarlet Mystic School, which is exciting, which will be a learning place where tarot, mysticism, and occult intersect. And I just want to share also that you also are a nurse, correct?
I am. I
Yeah. So
am.
so you are marrying the very human experience with the
Mhm.
very spiritual experience.
Yes, and I have a degree in adult psychiatric nursing, which is interesting because by the time I
Wow.
graduated, you could just use your degree to be an advanced practice nurse. They changed the rule years later, and I never got certified as an advanced practice nurse. In looking back at it, I think I would like this angle better.
Oh, so interesting. I just feel like science and research and marrying mysticism is just that's
Mhm.
such an incredible marriage.
Yes.
So today we're going to be talking about tarot cards, and I told you I'm so excited about this because I've had tarot readings, but I personally have never actively pursued learning how to do tarot cards, to read tarot cards. So I'm just so excited to hear everything that you have to say, and you're going to start by explaining to us the history of tarot.
The history, yes, absolutely. As just as a quick intro, cartomancy is any type of reading done by cards, and earlier readings were done for fortune telling. They really were. If you look at the French method and different methods, they used playing cards, and they truly did it for fortune telling. Well, way back in the day, the playing cards originated with the Chinese. And as intercommerce and interworld trade started, those cards graduated to the Arab world. They made their way to the Arab world, and then the Mamluks of Egypt started using these cards, and the symbology changed over time until they made it to Europe. And then the symbology really changed. People thought the images were really interesting. They played games with them. It's a little bit obscure, the history. Nobody's exactly 100% sure, but this is kind of the general way of it. And so as they played these games, they just found the imagery very provocative. People could relate to it. So later into the 1800s, you had the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and you had two members, Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith. And they were both members, they were both mystics. And Arthur Edward Waite really latched onto this idea that there's got to be more to these cards than just playing Rochi or card games or even fortune telling. There's something about the imagery that tells us of our journey, the hero's journey or our own personal journey from the time we're born and all the steps we take through life until death and we come back again, if you believe in reincarnation. So he wanted to capture the images for a set of cards, and he had tried, couldn't quite get it the way he wanted, and learned that his fellow member, Pamela Coleman Smith, was an artist, and she was especially known for her ability to draw these tiny vignettes, these tiny little scenes. And he thought, well, I got to ask her. So they got together and he told her what he wanted, and they put their heads together. And she sat down and she drew the images for 78 cards. And each of these cards have a different meaning. So you have a division of the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the major arcana are 22 cards that go from the birth or the fool all the way to the world. And there's everything else in between. And the major arcana is the life lessons that we learn in our lives. All the major things, from taking things on faith to using our will to connecting with our intuition to taking the teachings that were given from spirit and onward until we pass on or transition. If you believe in reincarnation, you see death as a mere transition. Um, the minor arcana cards are the everyday mundane steps, and they're divided into suits. And so you have cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. And pentacles are the earth sign for money or fortune or the body or the mundane care. Swords are for intellect and decision making. You have the wands, which are the fire energy. It's the passion that drives you. And the cups you have for emotions, relationships, feeling. And so you can see we use all those in our everyday living. And Pamela Coleman Smith was able to capture those images and use symbolism, color, and design so that if you look at these cards and you associate them with the meaning, then you're able to understand what those meanings are in a spread, which is a layout that can tell you past, present, future. If you do a simple spread, if you do a very large spread, it's going to give you your present position, your struggles, your conscious, your subconscious, past, future, your environment, and your hopes and fears, and then a possible outcome. So he believed that if you use these cards, it's not a fortune telling game or a device. It is a way to pull the cards when you have a question, and you can look at the cards in relation to the spread, and you can get a reading and see where you're at. And I've been reading cards on and off for 30 years, and it's amazing how a lot of times there are hits. You'll do a spread on someone, and they're like, wow, that's just uncannily accurate. But as the reader, you are pulling that energy and you're tapping into it and you're connecting, and you're able to pull those cards and get a reading that's pretty reflective. Now, sometimes you will run into situations where it just doesn't hit. And a lot of times it might be that the querent is off. They're not clear on what they want. The reader can be off. Let's just be honest. Let's not blame the querent on everything. Sometimes you may be having an off day and you're not connecting. But between Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, they came together with what is known as the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And that was like the first forerunner. And it's actually the most popular deck of all the decks that are created. There have been tons of decks created with tarot, all kinds of designs. Some of them, if they're done following that tradition, are very descriptive and intuitive when you look at the images. Some not so much so. You know, you would have to really know the cards very well to be able to use them properly.
So are all the newer decks that have come out like a spin-off of the original deck? Like, will they still all have cups, wands, swords, pentacles?
Yes, they should. They should. Yes.
Okay.
Many designers have put their own images into it, to maybe create their own nuances. So you just find a deck that resonates with you. I would say for beginners, if you're going to use it as a tool or you're interested in tarot, I would go with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck or the Universal Waite, because so here's what happened to me, and this is kind of an introduction on how it awakened me to spirituality. We're looking at tarot as a tool, and how is it a gateway? It is a perfect gateway, because here's the thing. First of all, we're taught by Abrahamic religions that don't play with those. They're the devil. You're going to go somewhere very unpleasant if you touch those, and don't go near them. So when I saw my first deck, I think I'd heard of them, but I was just drawn to them. it's a gateway because all of a sudden you are now realizing that there's more than just the mundane world. And yes, you hear of God and you hear of the spirit world, but that tarot is really connecting you to that because it's connecting you to your higher self. It's connecting you to your inner intuitive wisdom. And so tarot cards are everywhere. You go to the bookstore, you're going to go to a New Age shelf, you're going to see these decks. You go to a New Age store, you're definitely going to see a lot more decks. You're not going to see pendulums hanging around. Yeah, unless it's a Harry Potter section, you're probably not going to see wands, cauldrons, or sigilized boards or anything else. But you will see tarot and oracle decks. And people get curious. Oh, those are pretty. Oh, those are neat. What do you do with those? Because they don't look like your bicycle playing cards. And so people are attracted to them. I got mine. I was scared to death. And I picked up the Mythic Tarot. I didn't know about how to pick a deck out, didn't know much about them, but I was in my mid-20s and I thought, these are fascinating. I don't know why I'm drawn to these, but I finally picked one up because it had the book, the cards, and the layout cloth. And when I got them home and I opened up the book, Juliet Sharman Burke, who created the Mythic Tarot, said, do not be afraid of tarot. It shows you what is going on in an inner level, your own intuition, things you already know, but just need it brought to the surface. And that made me realize there's something more, that I can get answers to just about anything I want, basically. And I taught myself how to read them. But as I took my courses through Sal Jade's tarot courses on Udemy, I learned more about what they meant, how they were set up, how to ask questions, how to avoid the fortune telling type questions, how to really think about what it is you're wanting. And so that helps you pull a better spread. It's going to make more sense because I went through all the things of asking things over and over and over again and asking yes, no questions. And I would get, crazy answers instead of something like, what do I need to know about? Or what do I need to consider? And so I had to learn all that because everybody wants to do it.
Tell us a bit about the spreads.
The spreads, there are all kinds of spreads. Your largest one that you're going to do is like a tableau spread, and you can be pulling out tons of cards, like 25, 30 cards. I mean, there's only 78 cards in the deck. That is a huge spread. That's if somebody who's wanting to get really involved. I have never used that, but I have done Celtic Cross. That's a big spread. So it's a 10 card pull where you look at your present, you look at what your struggle is, you look at your conscious, your subconscious, your recent past, your near future, your environment, your hopes and fears, and an outcome. There's a horseshoe spread, which is 7 cards, and it kind of goes, your present, your past, your environment, where you're at now. It's a smaller spread. And if you want to go for really small spreads, but equally effective, are 3 card spreads. And that can be past, present, future. That can be stop, start, continue. It could be, spirit of the day. What do I need to know? Outcome. A lot of times I like to go need to know 1, need to know 2, outcome. So there are lots of spreads that you can do. If you're reading at an event, a party, where you're having to go really, really fast, do 3 card pulls and go fast. When I read at a convention and I was just young and learning this, I did Celtic Cross spreads. You would never do that. Now I read them really, really fast, but I didn't know any better. But, you learn when to use these spreads and how much. And when I'm at a show and I have a little more time, I will do a modified version, an 8 card pull.
Okay.
As a layout.
I love the spirit of the day.
Spirit of the day. Yes. There is a book called Ritual Planner, WRITUAL. And I like this because she offers a huge selection of 3 card pulls because it's designed to pull 3 cards for the day and you decide how you want to pull them.
So is WRITUAL ritual, like right?
Ritual Planner? Yes, RIT. Yeah.
Okay, RIT.
A Ritual Planner. Yeah. WRITUAL planner.com. And what's interesting about some of the spreads like stop, start, continue is when you get a really positive card in a stop position, because you have to almost read it like a negative. So that gets interesting. Like, why would I want to stop doing something positive? But it's likely because you're overdoing something.
Stop, start, continue.
Yes. So that's an interesting one. She has of several, like a whole list.
What is
And
where does the word tarot come from? Do you know?
it comes from, this is interesting because I've been a Rosicrucian since 2000. I got out for 10 years and I got back. They will touch on tarot a little, but I just joined BOTA, Builders of the Atom, and they teach tarot, gematria, Kabbalah. Their explanation is that tarot comes from the word rota, and they added the letter at the end, the extra T, to maintain mystery of what it was. So what you're going to learn from BOTA that books don't teach you is that there's a whole mystical meaning to these cards other than what you're going to get in the guidebooks. So Arthur Edward Waite was on the right track, and Pamela Coleman Smith was too in her imaging, because he says you can use these cards for meditation and study the symbology to really help you grow as a person. And that's exactly what BOTA teaches you. Builders of the Atom, they will go step by step and they will teach you the cards, all the meanings, the Hebrew alphabet that goes, the letter that goes with each one, and they will teach you how to meditate on these cards. And that is an introduction to the mystical meanings. Some of the mystical meanings of these cards may not really have a whole lot to do with the traditional meanings you will see in guidebooks. And when I did my course in my school, it's a simple tarot course. It's a self-coaching course. I go into a little bit of the mystics and the major arcana. The minor arcana, I haven't gone through their studies yet, but I kind of carried that theme. And my goal is to go into that a little bit deeper when I learn some more information and, trying to be in integrity with the organization in my own way, share the mystical meanings of these cards. You will not find this much, that, these cards mean more than just when you look at a book and says, oh, it means this. There's things about how it affects your conscious, your subconscious, how you're marrying those two, how that what you pay attention to and what you draw in and desire feeds your subconscious, and it's your subconscious that's going to link to spirit and make things happen. People don't really think about that when they're pulling out a deck of cards and looking through a tiny little guidebook.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a piece in there around. Sorry, I'm just trying to write my thought here. External, like it's an external toy, but it's not meant to be a crutch. Correct?
Right.
It's meant to be a guide.
A guide. A lot of people get into this thing of, oh, let me consult my cards. A business coach that I've just used said, if you have to rely on your cards all the time, you are not in your power, which makes a very good point. I'm not that way. I can make a decision without my cards. But there are a lot of times when I'm just kind of curious about something and I've got some time and I'm thinking, I wonder what I need to consider about this. And so I will pull some cards. And a lot of times the outcome, though it might have been favorable or looked favorable, didn't turn out favorably. But that could have been my choice to end it. Maybe had I stuck with it, it would have been fine. And then there are times when it says, no, don't do this.
Don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. And so you have to find a balance with these cards. They're nice as, kind of like your best friend, but higher than your best friend, so to speak, because you're really listening to your higher self. But, they can be a crutch if all you're going to do is say, I can't make a decision until I consult my cards.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They're to empower you, not to disempower you.
Empower you. So I am curious about reading over the internet.
Over the internet. Okay.
So yeah, how does that go?
How does it go? Very nicely, actually. Now, a lot of people swear, oh, I have to do it in person. I have to do this. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have done readings where it was as accurate as I was there in person. First of all, to sit here and say you and I aren't interacting personally would be kind of silly. because we are. I see you, you see me, I hear you, you hear me, we're talking, so it's real. And so if I did a card pull for you, I can tap into your energy, really pull what I'm drawn to, and pull a good spread for you. Not that you're going to hear everything you like to hear, but I can pull that a spread, meaning you're going to hear what you need to hear. And people are thinking, oh, but I don't get to pull my own cards.
Yeah.
There are a lot of tarot readers who will never let you touch their cards. They will spank your hands or your wrists if you try to touch them. They don't want them dirty. They don't want them bent. They don't want them dropped. They don't want your energy on them. You have to trust the reader that they have cleared and tuned into you. I do this all the time, and they're every bit as effective. And here's the nice thing. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You can sit in your jammies, cuddle up with your kitty or your puppy, have some hot cocoa, tea, coffee, and we'll do a reading. You don't have to fight with traffic. You don't have to think, oh my God, I'm going to be late, or, oh my gosh, where's this place again? I can't find a place to park.
Right.
None of that stress. You go in, you're stressed, and not every tarot reader has an office. It's expensive. It's not necessary. It can be noisy sometimes. Zoom readings are excellent, and I wish people would get over the negativity of doing one over the internet, because it's nice. You get to connect. You can ask your questions. You schedule a time. That tarot reader is going to honor your time.
So
And she
you as the reader are physically pulling the card
Oh, yes.
intuitively going, that's where I seem to want to go, basically.
Yes, yes. And if I need to pull a clarifying card, I'll pull a clarifying card. If you have a question, you can ask me. The nice thing about it is a lot of people will put a phone so they can get the recording. If we do it by Zoom, we can get the whole recording.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can send it to you. You can download it. If you want to listen to it 6 months later, you've got it. You've got responses, you've got our expressions. It's just something that a personal reading isn't going to get you.
And it's almost like divine source in many ways. Like,
yeah, it
divine
is.
source might not be right in the same room as you, but somehow managed to get you the information.
Exactly, exactly. So I want to, if it's anything I can tell querents or people who are interested in readings, please don't hesitate to find someone to do a Zoom reading for you, so you don't have to get out in traffic and stress yourself out. This should
Beautiful. I
be
love that.
helpful and unstressed.
And they can be anywhere, which is it doesn't have to be the
They
same
can be
town, right?
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some time zones get a little tricky, but I'm in the United States, but you can do Great Britain, you can do Australia, Canada, Mexico, South America. Probably Saudi Arabia gets a little tricky. You would have to have somebody that's willing to do something later at night, perhaps. Some of those get a little tricky, but you can get most of the world. Things that you would never be able to do in person would be very difficult.
Tell us about for people that are dabbling with their tarot cards or maybe fairly new in the learning process. Tell us about clearing energy in your cards.
Clearing the energy. So a lot of people will take their cards and they can bless them. They can create a special incense blend. They can run their cards through the incense smoke because it's like smoke magic. It clears. They can knock on them 3 times and clear out. We are taught that before we do sessions, we connect with our guides and ask them to be with us and to help, that we can be a conduit of information and comfort and support and strength for our clients. And so we'll go through a ritual to do that. Just nothing that's going to take forever, but it's a conscious connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then in between clients, a lot of people will imagine like a white shower of light, like you're being cleansed and you're ready for the next person. So each person comes up with their own ritual of how they want to connect with their deck, how they want to cleanse it, how they want to get it ready for the next reading. Some people interview their decks. Like what do I need to use you for? There are some decks that I have that I just can't connect with them. I love them, but it's like, okay, I'm getting crazy answers here. And one is a Rosicrucian deck, and you would have thought, me being Rosicrucian, oh, this will be wonderful. And I've tried to use it, and it is cold.
Oh, interesting.
I don't use it.
Oh.
Some I don't use. I've gotten them in boxes, like, different subscription boxes. There's no way I would use them. They're just, the imagery is too much. Murder of Crows is one that, unless you're an expert at this or good at it, don't even bother. It's harder to use. And there's one called The Nameless One by Zia Hunt, Xia, Zia Hunt. It is the strangest deck you have ever seen. A lot of professional readers said we wouldn't use this.
Oh,
They
that's
thought it was
interesting.
interesting and they would get rid of the deck. It's so different. It follows no tradition.
Well, so you're recommending Rider-Waite-Smith to start with,
Rider-Waite-Smith.
and also the ritualplanner.com. Those are both great places to send us. But you also have created for us your own unique pull pattern for the toolkit.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, spread.
Yes, yes. And I started with kind of like a past, present, future, and it goes counterclockwise. And I have the little arrows in there, and basically you just follow what the cards are, and it takes you on a little circular journey.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And
can you also just give us a little bit of information about the Sacred Mystic School that is coming up?
my Scarlet Mystic School?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to be honest here. It came up as totally as an accident. And I was, which that's okay, because a lot of things with me do come up as a happy accident. I had taken a business course, and someone said, if you've got information to share, creating courses would be wonderful. It'd be a way to get out there, get your information out. I've never done this before, though I have taught things before. I write novels, so writing a course shouldn't be too different. I know how to write. And so I started thinking, I love coaching. I like people being able to use the cards in a really directed way when they're starting out. You have a burning question in the middle of the night. My first tarot course, Self-Coach with Tarot, Living Your Authentic Life, is a good general course. It's a 5-hour course. It is one that covers the cards. It covers the mystical meanings a little bit, as well as mentioning the traditional. Each card has its own set of questions, so that when you pull those cards, maybe no more than 3, you can pull the sheets and go through and you make a self-contract. So that is the first course. And I liked doing the course so much, I thought, you know what? This school is more than an accident, because in order for me to get the course out there, I had to pick a platform.
Sure.
And then they say, what are you going to name it? I'm like, I don't know. And then I thought, wait a minute. I'm the Scarlet.
It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer, Scarlet Mystic School. And I put it where tarot, mysticism, and occult intersect, because magic, witchery, everything, high magic, there is an overlap. There are times when they don't intersect. There's a lot of times they do intersect. People don't know it. And my goal is to add more classes.
I love it. So where is someone going to go to find that information?
So if you go to my website, www.scarletdarkwood.com, that's 1 T in Scarlet, and all one word, scarletdarkwood.com, it will take you to my website, and there will be buttons that says the Scarlet Mystic School. So you click on the button, it takes you to the school, you sign up, create an account, pick your courses, pay for it, and you're ready to start class. And with my first class, I'm offering a 55% discount. I've got some slots open, so if anybody wants to try it, they just type in Off Life at checkout, AUTHLIFE, and I've got some positions open. So if anybody wants to try to get on there and use that code, they can get a course.
Or they can just reach out to you directly through email.
Yeah, absolutely. If they want to say, hey, what was that again? I'll be happy to share it with them, because I want to get this out to people so they can learn tarot. And the course is very straightforward, simple. There's not a lot of cleansing hoo-ha, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that. I just want to do XYZ.
I love it. Thank you so much, Scarlett. I learned so much. Every minute was a learning experience. So thank you so much for sharing with us and for introducing us to the beauty of tarot.
That's wonderful. I advise everybody to go out and try it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.